They told you awakening would be beautiful, a gentle flowering of consciousness, peaceful expansion into bliss and wisdom. What they didn't tell you is what happens when those peak experiences fade and you're back in ordinary consciousness, because now it feels like a prison. You've tasted freedom. You've glimpsed what lies beyond the veil. And suddenly your old life feels impossibly small and suffocating. The job that once gave you purpose feels meaningless. The conversations that once engaged you sound hollow. The goals you were chasing seem like elaborate games you no longer want to play. This isn't a breakdown. This is where the real journey begins, because the spiritual honeymoon always ends. And when it does, you discover that awakening isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a death. You must die while still breathing. Before we continue, if you're ready to break free from the repeating patterns that hold you back, check out my free guide, 5 Inner Blocks That Keep You from Deep Spiritual Growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. The crash comes first. Those beautiful peak experiences become your new addiction. You chase them desperately, trying meditation retreats, plant medicines, breathwork sessions, anything to get back to that place where everything made sense. But the highs become shorter and the lows deeper. You're like someone who tasted the finest wine and now finds water unbearable. Then comes the dark night of the soul. This isn't sadness or depression. It's existential emptiness that can last months or years. Your prayers feel hollow. Your meditation becomes empty. Even the memory of those peak experiences feels like a cruel joke. You begin to wonder if you made a terrible mistake. Maybe awakening is just sophisticated self-deception. Maybe you're losing your mind. The darkness is so complete you can't even remember why you started this journey. Most people break here. They run back to religion, to materialism, to anything that offers the illusion of solid ground. But if you survive the void, something even worse awaits. The spiritual ego trap. You emerge from the darkness with a new identity, the enlightened one. You read all the books, mastered the terminology, can speak eloquently about non-duality and consciousness. You see through other people's illusions with laser precision while remaining completely blind to your own. This is perhaps the most dangerous stage because it feels so right. You're no longer seeking because you found. You're no longer a student because you become the teacher. Your ego has simply put on spiritual clothing and convinced you it's enlightenment. The telltale sign, you start judging others for being asleep while positioning yourself as awake. The isolation becomes unbearable. Your old friends can't relate to you anymore. When they complain about their problems, you see the cosmic joke underlying their suffering, but you can't share that perspective without sounding condescending or insane. Your family thinks you've joined a cult or lost your grip on reality. They want the old you back, the one who cared about the right things, worried about proper concerns, shared their values and fears. But you can't go back. It would be like trying to believe in Santa Claus again. The ordinary world now feels like elaborate theater where everyone has agreed to take the performance seriously, and you're the only one who can see it's just a play. Then comes the collapse of meaning itself. It's not just that your old life doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters. Love, purpose, beauty, suffering, joy, all of it becomes equally empty, equally meaningless. You don't just lose your beliefs, you lose the very capacity to believe in anything. This isn't depression. Depression still cares about the pain, the loss, the hopelessness. This is something far more profound. The death of the one who could care about anything. You might find yourself staring at the sunset with complete indifference, or watching loved ones suffer without feeling compelled to help. Some never recover from this stage, remaining trapped in a kind of living death. But here's the secret few understand. This void isn't the end of the journey. It's the fertile emptiness from which authentic life emerges. Here is what nobody tells you about surviving the dissolution. You cannot manage, control, or strategize your way through awakening. Every technique you learned, every spiritual practice you mastered, every piece of wisdom you accumulated, none of it can save you from what's coming. The trying to survive is exactly what needs to die. The mind believes that you are the one having this awakening experience, that there is a you who can navigate it skillfully, who can emerge victorious on the other side. But awakening doesn't happen to someone. It reveals that the someone was never real to begin with. Real awakening dissolves the one who wanted to be awakened. The seeker, the sought, and the seeking were all movements in the same awareness. What you thought was your personal journey was consciousness exploring itself through the fiction of being you. The mind wants to make awakening into another achievement, another identity to claim. It searches for the moment where you can say, I am enlightened, or I have awakened. But that very search is what keeps awakening at bay. The one who could be awakened, the one who could claim the prize, is precisely what must dissolve. You cannot think your way to freedom. Every attempt to understand awakening mentally only strengthens the illusion that there's someone there to understand. Every effort to control the process only reinforces the fiction of the controller. The trying itself becomes the trap. What you fear losing is only stories, memories, preferences, patterns of thought that consciousness has temporarily identified with. The personality you've been defending so fiercely, the life story you've been telling yourself, the roles you've been playing, none of it was ever who you are. But here's the trap the mind sets. It whispers that if you're not this personality, this collection of memories and preferences, then you must be nothing. The ego presents only two options: be someone or be nothing. It cannot conceive of the third possibility. What survives is nothing and everything. Life living itself spontaneously. Awareness aware of itself without a center. The body continues to function. Thoughts continue to arise. Emotions continue to flow. but there is no central controller claiming ownership of the experience. This doesn't make you special or enlightened. If anything, it reveals how utterly ordinary and natural this recognition is. Every blade of grass, every passing cloud, every crying baby is expressing the same consciousness that you are. The awakening you thought was personal was never personal at all. The spiritual journey is consciousness pretending to be lost so it can enjoy the adventure of finding itself. Every stage of seeking, every moment of suffering, every glimpse of truth is the same awareness playing hide and seek with itself. And when the dust settles, when all the drama of awakening has played itself out, what remains is stunningly simple. Not the permanent bliss you expected, not the cosmic consciousness you imagined, just this ordinary awareness that was never actually absent. No certificate of achievement arrives, no cosmic graduation ceremony, no permanent state to maintain, just this simple aliveness, completely free of the need to be anything other than what's naturally arising. True compassion is born here, not from spiritual superiority, but from recognizing everyone as yourself in disguise. The same life breathing in you is breathing in them. The same awareness looking through your eyes is looking through theirs. The same struggle you experienced is the struggle they face. You see now that everyone is exactly where they need to be in this vast unfolding. The people still chasing success, still avoiding pain, still believing their stories. They are not wrong or behind. Their consciousness exploring itself through different costumes, playing different roles in the same eternal drama. The spiritual journey ends where it began, in this simple present moment awareness. But now there's no one left to claim credit for the discovery, no enlightened person to maintain an image, no awakened being to protect a reputation. What you thought was your awakening was awakening recognizing itself. What you thought was your journey was the pathless path consciousness takes to know itself. What you thought was your achievement was the dissolution of the achiever. Life becomes effortless because there's no one trying to live it. Decisions arrive naturally because there's no decider waiting options. Love flows freely because there's no lover protecting their heart. Everything happens by itself, through itself, as itself. This isn't a philosophy or belief system. It's the most natural thing in the world, like water flowing downhill or flowers turning toward the sun. Consciousness being conscious of itself without interference. Before we wrap up, if you found this helpful and want to go deeper, remember that free download I mentioned, 5 inner blocks that keep you from deep spiritual growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. The real secret the few who survive discover is this: there was never anyone to survive anything. There's just consciousness wearing temporary costumes, pretending to be lost so it can enjoy finding itself again and again. You are that consciousness right now, hearing these words, perhaps recognizing yourself in this mirror. Not as achievement, not as attainment, but as the most natural thing in the world. The awareness that's aware of confusion isn't confused. The consciousness that witnesses all these stages was never actually caught in them. it remains untouched and free throughout. Welcome home. You never actually left.